Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 17th of July. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is in a good place. We've got a bull flag resting on the old resistance, 89.08, and also above the floor of that rising trend channel from back in May, the red channel there. We're obviously very close to the top of the green channel, the long-dated one from the spring of last year, 90.40, which we were looking for by the end of this month. Still time, obviously. End of day close through that. And we're looking at as high as 92.30 by the end of next month, the top of the red May channel. On the downside, initial support obviously around the 89.08 area, and then the old high from back in March, and then the 50-day line 87.85. But at the moment, it doesn't look as though we're going to stay on the wrong side of 8900 for any extended period. Moving on to the DAX, and here you can see that we've still bouncing above a rising 50-day line, so that's a leading indicator on the upside, suggests that we could get up to the top of that 2024 channel at 25,100 by the end of this month, while we're above that 50-day line, 23,880. Worst case at the moment, I suppose, 23,500, the old March resistance. RSI's bounced at neutral 50 again, so that's the third time in the recent past. So we are in a strong place. Moving on to the Dow, and here it's been a story of the market in a range between 44,000 and 45,000. Obviously, yesterday there was an overshoot to the downside, but still back in that 1,000 point range roughly. Looking for a breakout, and that's set on the basis of the latest golden cross, the RSI still being above neutral 50. So hopefully the next time we get to 45,000, we'll keep going. Best case here, 47,500 by the end of next month, while we're above yesterday's floor, 43,700 or so. Worst case is that we've got to test the old June resistance, 43,100, one more time. Moving on to Bitcoin, and here there was excitement at the beginning of the week, and we've settled down in a range, I suppose, between 115 and 120. We had the spike to 123. Still looking for the top of that channel up to 126 by the end of this month. That means we've got 2 weeks left, so a bit of a nail biter there. I can't rule out a retest of May resistance at 112,000 before we manage to head higher. If you're a fan of this market and looking for greater glory, then it would be 143,000 by the end of next month, which is an April resistance line projection, and I suppose that would be an acceleration of the uptrend within a red rising trend channel, which I'm just drawing at the moment, and that is hopefully the new trajectory. But according to that scenario, we need to stay above 115 to get to 143 by the end of next month. So thought I'd throw in Ethereum, because some people are getting excited about that. We've got a situation where the market has hit the top of that rising trend channel, which obviously drew a little while back. That was around 33.80. Above that, we're looking for the next level up, which is obviously towards 3,600, the old peak there from back in the beginning of the year. Ideally, this market is on a trajectory heading for the upper parallel of that rising trend channel, so that would be up towards the 4,200 level, and maybe that would be something for the end of next month that we really do take off properly. On the downside, the initial July resistance there, 30.50, I suppose, is the logical area, but the way things are looking at the moment, looks as though this market's on its way towards the highs, catching up with the relative position on Bitcoin. And the other point to note is that the rally here started with double and triple RSI rebounds at neutral 50, so looking pretty healthy. Be surprised if we trade any lower than 3,200 now, ahead of a move towards the highs. On to gold, and here the situation is that we've been trying to stay within that rising trend channel, the April one. The floor of that channel currently around 3,300. Above that, we're looking for a minimum 34.30, which is an April resistance line, and then up to as high as 3,800 by the end of next month, if we can get a break of 34.30 this side of the 1st of August. RSI 50 rebound there as well, so looking reinvigorated there on gold. Moving on to the stocks, and still trying to get over the situation of Botswana diamonds, where, as I described earlier, whiplash rebound there, but the gap higher that we had this month as well. We hit our initial target there, 0.34 pence, and we're looking for the next target as high as 0.47 pence by the end of this month, so a couple of weeks to go there. Upside value while we hold above 0.34, the initial target. Onto Empyrean, where it certainly is a glorious day. We haven't seen this stock do well for a long time. Current situation is that we are within a falling trend channel, which I'm scrambling to draw at the moment. What's interesting here is that today's peak so far is basically the top of that falling channel. So let's call it 007, above 007, looking for 0.11 and the 200-day moving average. But obviously that's only if we manage to get through 007. In terms of the downside, ideally we'd like to see the shares remain on the right side of 0.04 ahead of any move to the upside. But it certainly does look as though there's been a bit of a transformation there. On to Harena, which still is shown as being Citius Resources on ShareScope. Somebody needs to update that. Here we've broken out of a wedge there around the 1.05 level. The initial target, the 50-day line, 1.27, best case. By the end of next month, up to 2 pence, which is the top of that broadening triangle from March. Ideally, the low is in place, especially given the way that we've broken that wedge, and also we've got bullish divergence with an uptrend line in the RSI window from back in March. Lower lows for the shares, but higher RSI trace. So maybe an early bird situation. Moving on to KR1, and here it was promised that the shares would deliver a bit of a revival, and they're slowly doing so. Initial target here, 49 pence, and the 200-day line, the mid-channel line there, the red one, that's valid while we're above 36 pence. Best case by the end of next month, and this stock can move when it wants to, 73 pence at the top of the falling trend channel from September last year. But we need to stay above that rising 50-day line, just around 36 pence. On to KEFI, where I think we've got the AGM at the moment. Here you can see that we've broken through the 50-day line, 0.54, and we're just around the 50-day line, 0.56. Need to see a proper end-of-day close or end-of-week close above 0.56, initial July resistance. We've got an RSI rebound at 50, neutral 50, so that is helpful. So there is a chance of at least 0.6 pence, if not more, by the end of next month. Best case, obviously, the top of the range one more time. Ideally, we stay above that 200-day line now, 0.54, whatever happens. Moving on to Mast, which has exceeded expectations. And here you can see how and why. If I get the right chart up, we've got a situation where we're back at the fourth target there for the shares at 63 pence, above that. Looking for a best case scenario target as high as that green line, which is heading for £1.40. Possible by, I suppose, the end of September, but obviously still a long way to go. But it does look as though the shares are on a pretty bullish trajectory, and at least a retest of initial July resistance at 75 pence should be on the cards before the end of this month. On to MyHealthChecked, which had announced a deal with Boots. Very exciting stuff. Top of the range and top of the channel there towards 20 pence. We're looking for that if we can get a decent end-of-day close above the 200-day line, just above where we are at the moment at 13.25 pence. That's the black line there. Moving along to Predator with its very popular CEO. Here you can see that we've broken recent neckline resistance just under 4 pence. Initial target here was 5.25. Best case by the end of next month up to 8 pence, which will obviously delight the shareholders in that company. Key area now is the 200-day line at 4.8 pence, which needs to be beaten sooner rather than later. On to Sundae Bar, where we get the feeling that the shares are ready to jump. Here we've had a gap, unfilled gap to the upside today, rising 50 and 200-day lines. Looking for 16 pence by the end of next month while we stay above the 10 pence level. On to Tungsten West, which has also exceeded expectations, become a critical metal, even in the UK. Somebody's obviously on their toes there. Here you can see we managed to had a retracement back to a previous target there, around 8.5 pence. The current target is 14 pence, so I hope we'll get that before the end of this month. Best case is up to 23 pence, the old support on the way down, by the end of next month. But looking very strong indeed with all those blue candles that we've had in the recent past. Onto a stock which was supposed to be a zero and obviously hasn't been because the call was made out of spite rather than brains or reality. Here you can see that the £8 million grant the company's got, just 8 million, stunning award there, has got the share price up, and we were above the 200-day moving average at 0.1 pence. Ideally, we'd like to stay there and at least have a go at retesting the old December resistance area, 0.25 to 0.3 pence by the end of next month. But the key here, I think, is staying above that 200-day line. And the worst case, I suppose, would be to have to retest the floor of the gap there at 0.08. But given that that is such a big award for the company, seems to be little reason for the shares to dive that deep. Moving on to another stock which has been defamed and generally kicked about. We've got Versarien. Here you can see that we have bounced off the bottom, broken recent neckline resistance at 0.018, and above that, looking for the 200-day line, 0.033, even if we then fail after that. Moving on to the Ethereum play, I believe, Vault Ventures, rather. Here we have a situation where we're just testing for July support there around 0.018. You can see that recent news has been decent and fast flowing for the company. You can see the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana purchase that the company announced earlier in the week, and obviously Ethereum doing rather well at the moment. If you're cautious, want to see an end of day close, you'll want to see an end of day close above the 200-day line, 0.023, to then take the shares up to 0.028. But let's see if some life can be brought back into that situation. Moving on to Wishbone Gold, and it's hit our target again, 0.73, that target line there for the second time. And end of day close above that, we are looking for a penny, which was basically the support area on the way down. I suppose if you're fussy, you would say the support area was 0.95. So above 0.73, looking for 0.95, perhaps as soon as the end of this month, if we get an end of day close quickly through the 0.73 or above the 0.73 area. The other point to note is we've had a RSI 50 rebound above neutral 50, and that is looking interesting at the moment. Finishing off with Zenith Energy, where the rug has been pulled from under the shares, and what's interesting now is that we have a gap to fill there at 3.5 pence. That would be a potential technical buy opportunity, but maybe given the news that we've had so far, some people might be shying away from such a technical situation. But notional support there around 3.5 pence if for people who are keen to catch a falling knife. The other point to note is the RSI now down at 16. I suppose if it was down at 10 or below, then it might be again a bottom fish situation. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.